Okay, I'd like to bring to order the Katuah Fire District Board of Fire Commissioners meeting of February 16th, 2024 at 5:31, maybe it looks like here. Present, Commissioner Conley,
Commissioner Zace.
Commissioner Fasano, are you able to hear us? We're gonna pause on that for a second. We're working on some connectivity issues with Commissioner Fasano. All others present?
Fire Chief Brown.
Deputy Chief Clark.
Okay, great. Thank you, gentlemen. So again, let's pause for 1 second. Let's see if we can resolve our,
All right, so I just got a text message from Commissioner Fasano. He's having microphone problems, however, he can hear us.
okay, so with that, then we're gonna call Commissioner Fasano present. And we're gonna ask Commissioner Fasano, provided he can hear us, if he could leverage the text feature within,
Does this microphone on?
that's him, okay, yeah. So on speaker there.
Good evening, Commissioner. Would you like me to put you on speaker? Okay.
Okay, so Commissioner Fasano, can you hear us okay?
Thought I heard something.
Yes, I can hear you and I'm present.
I think your microphone just worked for a second on the computer. Okay, let's assume it did not. You can work on that. You can hear us now, so you're good to go, correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. All that being said, who do we have? Do we have anybody recording, Chief?
This meeting is being recorded to the cloud.
Okay, is there anybody else that's listening that is recording at this time? Okay, meeting's been called to order. Do we have any public comment out there?
We have one public comment that I put into the folder for your review in regards to hosting of meetings.
Okay. I did read that, Chief. Commissioner Fasano and Commissioner Zates. Did you have a chance to read that letter?
I did not. I'm doing that now.
Okay. So let's put that public comment. We're gonna revisit that public comment if it's okay with you, Chief, at the end, okay? Okay. I'll come back around to that in a little bit. Review and approval of previous meeting minutes. I think we have a couple of different ones to approve, Chief, correct? We have to approve this, December and January.
I believe that may be correct.
Okay. Commissioner Pisano, Commissioner Zace, do you have a chance to take a look at the December, meeting notes? Minutes?
Yes, did you mean December?
December, I did mean, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
I have read the meeting notes, but I was not in attendance at December, and so I can't vote.
Okay. Right, so I get you. I think that's why we do, yes, I understand that. Thank you for reminding me of that. So that being said, it's Commissioner Zace and myself. I have read the minutes as well. Commissioner Zace, do we have any kind of a motion?
Move to accept the minutes as presented.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye. Commissioner Zace.
Commissioner Conley, so those are passed. Thank you very much. The January minutes, Commissioner Fasano, were you able to take a look at those?
Yes, I was.
Any questions or concerns?
No.
Okay, Commissioner Zace.
I have no concerns.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Move to accept the January minutes as presented.
Second? All those in favor?
Commissioner Zace.
Commissioner Fasano as well. Commissioner Conley, those are approved. So both sets of meeting minutes have been approved. Thank you, gentlemen. We're going to move on to Fire Commissioner's report, Chief.
I'm still working. I apologize for my distractedness. I'm still trying to work out the technical issues here. So the fire chief's report for February 15th, 2024.
Let me interrupt you for 1 second. Commissioner Pisano, can you, I think this will help solve the problem. Can you mute your phone? And obviously, when you would like to speak or make a mention, you can obviously unmute it. How does that? Is that okay? I would say that's okay. Thank you. I think that makes it easier on our end. Thank you, Commissioner.
So the month of January had a total of 106 responses. We have 1 fire, 63 rescue EMS calls, 4 hazardous conditions, 6 community risk reduction responses, 7 reassurance program visits, 8 service calls, 7 good intent, 8 false alarms, 2 severe weather, no special incident types in January. 30% of the calls were overlapping in January, and mutual aid was provided 5 times, and mutual aid was received 8 times in January. Any questions on the responses?
No.
All right. And moving on to administration, the fire department received a $12,098 firefighter safety equipment grant through the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to replace outdated fire hoses and water appliances on engine 263, which is 30 years old. Captain McPherson completed that grant application and is managing the grant and the purchasing for that program. We applied for a senior safe grant to support our community risk reduction efforts. Firefighter Gardner completed that grant application process. And if we're successful in receiving that grant, he will manage the grant. And we are currently working on a FEMA AFG, Assistance to Firefighters Grant, to fund the replacement of engine 263, which is 30 years old. Captain Amento is assisting fire administration with preparing that grant. We applied last year and were successful in receiving it. However, the apparatus is 30 years old, and that is generally the threshold when they give stronger consideration to approving these grants. So fingers crossed, hopefully we will receive that. We are also currently working on a FEMA AFG grant, what is referred to as a micro grant, to fund the purchase of a Lucas CPR device, and that would go on the shared resource ambulance. EMS Officer Staggs is assisting fire administration with preparing that grant application. In FY 25 draft budget is ready for review, and I indicated in this report some changes may be needed to fund PPE purchases. We did finally have a meeting with our last meeting for budget prep with the program area manager for PPE. And when you have ready for discussion on that, we can get into that. I don't know if you want to say that on the new business.
Yeah, I think I'd look for the business.
Okay. Very good, sir. We received public comment, as mentioned earlier, and I can get that out now that we appear to have leveled out with our technical issues here with the Zoom meeting, and I can get that out for the second round of public comment. Deputy Chief Clark graduated from the Massachusetts Fire Academy's Chief Fire Officer Management Program on January 24th. I've mentioned this program to all of you in the past. It's a really great opportunity for professional growth and development and networking for fire chiefs in the Commonwealth. If you would like, and if the deputy would like to add anything to that.
No, I agree with you. I think it's a great program that, put in a lot of touch with a lot of great people, fire service leaders, and prepared you more for the administrative side of the fire service and the chief officer's job. That is sometimes not well prepared.
Yeah, I thought it was a great ceremony. I extend my congratulations. I think the deputy did a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your commitment to that program and to the village. Appreciate it. Mid-year budget report for the Prudential Committee is also ready, and if you wish, I mean, if you want that under new
We'll do new business with that, I think.
Very good. And that completes the administration portion of the reports. Any questions on administration?
Gentlemen?
I have two things. One is I want to add my congratulations to Deputy Chief Clark for the graduating from that program. Congratulations. Chief, if you could quickly describe in a little bit greater detail what a Lucas CPR device is?
Sure. The Lucas CPR device is the compression machine. Some people may have heard it referred to as a thumper in the past, and it's a mechanical CPR device. So
Okay.
it goes around the chest of an individual in cardiac arrest and maintains a more consistent rhythm of chest compressions.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other?
Commissioner Pisano, any questions, comments? Hearing nothing and seeing no text or, we're gonna assume you're good there, Commissioner. I'm gonna just say a few quick words here, and if you need to come in, please do. Go ahead, Rick. Rick?
Yes, I just wanted to add my congratulations to the deputy.
Thank you.
Okay. Just a few, thank you, Commissioner Pisano. Just a few things under administration. I want to congratulate, frankly, the entire department on the work they're doing for grants. Not something that we've done in the past or that I personally have seen in the past. So I think it's phenomenal that you guys are really, looking at other avenues of opportunity funding for us. So I think that's phenomenal. So thank you. And again, I want to restate, I thought the deputy did a great job. I was lucky enough to be able to attend that ceremony, and I thought overall it was just a great product. Just overall great. That's all I have right now, sir.
All right. Thank you. Moving on to technology, nothing new to report. Under personnel, maybe
Commissioner Pisano, if you can mute again, that'd be great. Thank you.
there was a very heartfelt thank you note from a patient that I removed all personally identifiable information from it and sent that off to you. And again, it was just a example of the exemplary and compassionate care that the members of the fire department provide to the community. All groups are received, it says are receiving, the last delivery was today. All groups received autism awareness training this month. And was taught by a lieutenant from Joint Base Cape Cod who travels around the region to teach autism awareness. And he has a son that is autistic, and so it's a topic very near and dear to him. And he's very passionate about it. Does a phenomenal job with education and how our personnel and emergency service personnel can interact with individuals that have autism. We also have new in both ambulances autism sensory kits to help provide materials when we are interacting with somebody that may have autism, to provide us some tools to help them potentially relax themselves and help them calm down. All groups performing cold water rescue training this month. There's still one more delivery left to do. About half the department's been done through that. We're doing that down at the town docks. And it is EMS recertification season, so we put the training reports into your folders, but what is also going on and not as readily visible in those training reports is what's done in our EMS training databases for recertification. And there is a significant amount of effort that goes into maintaining our EMS skills and our ability to recert. So, and now is the time to get that all entered into the database for recertification. So a lot going on this time of year for EMS recertification. That's all we have under personnel. Any questions from the board?
Gentlemen?
I have no questions.
Okay. Great, thank you. I have a question as well. Thank you. And thank you for, I will say thanks for including that letter from the patient. I thought that was a wonderful letter. Very nice. Speaks very highly of the department.
Yeah. Okay,
Rick, back to me, please.
and apparatus and equipment, all licensing requirements have been completed for ambulance 275. For those of you in the audience that may not be aware of what that is, it's the shared resource ambulance that we split the operating maintenance costs with Sandwich. But it's housing to it and is available to us when our primary ambulance goes out for mechanical or other reasons, or it can be staffed by recall personnel when ambulance 262 is out on another incident response. Soon after going into service, ambulance 275 responded at the ALS level to its first incident with recall personnel, while on-duty staff were committed on a separate incident. So it was a pretty significant day in the history of the organization. To date, we had been unable to field 2 ambulances at the same time, and shortly after our ability to do that was finalized, lo and behold, we got 2 calls back to back, and we were able to turn it out. So pretty exciting stuff. And that was a long project that started before I arrived here, and was impacted by supply chain issues. Was impacted by just various licensing processes, and discovering a lot of new things that when you're running a ambulance that is a shared resource. So anyway, a lot of work by a lot of people, and much appreciated. EMS Officer Staggs, Commissioner Conley, Debbie Clark, Chief Burke from Sandwich. Just a lot of people had a lot of input into this project. So thank you to all of them. The DBRS, which was another grant that we applied for, it was installed. Again, that was another supply chain issue that took about a year, maybe a little longer to get. We had to file for an extension on that grant, but it did finally arrive and is installed, and training is started on it, and Captain Amento is working on a policy for using that. And that, again, for those of you that are familiar with it, is a digital video vehicle repeater system. So that allows our portable radios to be amplified through the apparatus to improve our ability to communicate when we're on handheld communication devices, portable radios. Any questions under apparatus and equipment?
Commissioners, anything?
No,
Yeah, and I guess
it's good to see ambulance 275 rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll echo that. As I think most of you know, I was involved with that project early on, and I think that's very good that it's out there. I have to say also congratulate, thank Chief Rude in the past for the work he did to help get that started. So, and thank the current organization, chief, deputy, for helping getting that done, including Deputy Firefighter Staggs. So all good. Thank you very much, guys.
All right.
I should say, should really qualify that. EMS Officer Staggs. Yep, correct. Thank you.
So moving on to facilities, Commissioner Conley, Chief Brown, DC Clark, Firefighter McNamara, and Mr. Jack Gardner toured the Brewster Fire Station. There's also been a variety of meetings, Zoom, in person, with the Catalyst Group. And I will ask the chairman to elaborate under his committee reports, and then we'll get too much further under my report on those items. And then as we're preparing our capital improvement plan, we realized that there's been a lack of maintenance on the sprinkler system in the firehouse. In the process of doing some maintenance, it did develop a leak. We did have some flooding issues. Those have been taken care of. However, tomorrow we have a coming in to do more head to toe inspection of the system and, do any additional repairs that are needed on it, as well as we now have a annual preventative maintenance contract in place with this company, so. With that, that is the end of the chief's report. Any questions from?
Gentlemen, any questions on facilities?
No.
None for me.
Okay, great. Chief, thank you. You picked up some headaches that you've had to deal with, including the sprinkler system, so thank you for your effort to that regards.
Thank you.
Okay, subcommittee reports. See what we have out there. Commissioner Zace, I don't think you have an active subcommittee report, do you, or subcommittee?
I do not have an active committee, or an active, I'm sorry, I do not have a committee report because there has been no activity on the policy advisory committee.
Roger that. Thank you. Commissioner Pisano, do we have anything on your side?
No, there has been no activity by the follow-up committee.
Got it. Okay, thank you for that. We appreciate the update, that there is no update. And with regards to the needs assessment report committee, so as the chief indicated, we did tour Brewster, which was a interesting tour, great tour, very great station. In addition to that, we had a meeting with Catalyst on Tuesday to do a checkpoint on where we are at. At this point, Catalyst has advised us that they're in the process of looking for a land surveyor in order to determine whether the two properties can be merged. We need to have a land surveyor do some work at looking at the properties. In addition to that, the town needs to have a preliminary design that we can submit in conjunction with the land surveyor's report as to what we're looking to accomplish. And again, preliminary as I understand it. And that preliminary report on the design, we are expecting towards the end of February. Chief, did I miss anything on that?
No, I don't believe so. That pretty much captured everything.
Okay, does anybody have any questions on that? Commissioner Zace?
No.
Okay, Commissioner Pisano?
No, I have no questions.
Okay. Very good. With that, we're gonna move into new business. So we have a few pieces of new business here, I think, that I'm aware of. If there's any additional, we can bring it up. Chief, you referenced PPE. Do you want to hit that one first?
Yes, so, we met with the program area manager today. We have 6 sets of turnout gear where there wasn't a system in place for tracking the life cycle management of PPE, which is the turnout gear that the firefighters use. And so firefighter Lee took point in that project and has developed an inventory tracking system and a projection system for purchasing gear. In the process of this, we discovered that we're going to need to purchase 6 sets of turnout gear this this calendar year, and which crosses over 2 fiscal years. And the gear is approximately just shy of $5,000 per set, so that's a $30,000 purchase. So the discussion is, with the board is that, do we make that, and my suggestion would be that would be a capital project and FY 25 to fund that. So it would be a roughly $30,000 article in the warrant, a one-time, rather than increasing the operating line by $30,000, because we asked for $30,000 increase in an operating line one year, and the reality is the budgets generally don't go down. So, and whereas this is a roughly every 5-year purchase cycle, so it's 14 sets of gear, 14 personnel, 2 sets of gear per personnel, 10-year lifespan. So you try to stagger those so that you're not getting everything all at once. And so 5 years, and things eventually bump out of their life cycle, and the community's not burdened with 6 large purchases all at once. So my suggestion would be that we make that a capital project, and we keep that operating line level funded.
Sure.
For maintenance of the gear.
Gentlemen, any questions?
No, I concur. Chief and I had a chance to speak early this afternoon about this. I know that, well, I completely agree with the idea of putting this in the CIP.
Okay, Commissioner Pisano?
I also think that's the appropriate.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. And I do as well. The only question I have is, we are in need of 6 right now, correct?
Yes.
When's the projection for additional, and what would the volume be? What would the numbers be on that?
So we just put this together today, so we would need, you know that?
So the needs right now, we have 2 sets that are outdated that we had asked for fiscal year 24.
Yeah.
And then the other 4 outdated in fiscal year 25.
And then we're good until, what did we say,
27, I mean, so it looks like right now, every couple of years, there's 3 or 4 sets that are gonna outdate, and then fiscal year 27 and 28, there's no purchases required.
Okay, so let me interrupt 1 second. Commissioner Zace, because you're the easiest. Can you hear the deputy?
Yes,
Okay, good. A little bit low from my side, but okay. So we will need something, we won't need anything next year, next fiscal year? I mean, the following?
No, so fiscal year 25, we're looking at 4 sets, the need for 4 sets. And then we have 2 sets that are currently outdated,
Yeah, I got
that
that.
we're trying to replace in our current budget.
Right.
And then in 25, 26, I think there's 3 or 4 more sets that are gonna go out of date,
So, and how long does PPE last?
10 years.
10 years. So basically, we're behind the 8 ball right now because we haven't had a program in place. We're trying to solve that problem. Okay? And once we get to that point, we'll be able to rotate it a little bit more systematically with reality.
Yes.
Okay. PPE is used as what, just a real quick explanation.
It's all structural fire from the year.
Okay, so,
That's boots, helmet.
good. Okay, just want to make sure everybody is aware of what we're talking about here. Okay, thank you. All right, any other comments on PPE? Are we good there?
good here.
Okay, thank you. Chief, you're up again with budget, I believe.
Okay, so we have two phases of this. So we've got the mid-year budget report that would go to CrewCom, and then we have some draft discussion points for FY 25. And what would you like me to get into?
Well, the first, take it whatever you have in front of you, whatever is easiest, because it doesn't matter. Gentlemen, you both received the spreadsheet, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So again, this is draft, this is based on projections. And looking back through the spreadsheets that were kept over the years and kind of, and mapping out what, based on trends, what we would forecast, looking forward, and also, what the potential liabilities are, the financial liabilities. So, starting right up at the top, there's the contractual wage increases. So it's 5%, 3%, 14, and 6, and a lot of these are contractual obligation, all of them contractual obligations, and then that 14% that's in the salary and wages for permanent full-time. It's important to point out that's the max liability if everybody becomes the boat operator and gets the degrees and everything else that's allowed. So, that is that.
And that's all under your reference contract, but that's all under the CBA negotiated.
Correct, that is,
Yep.
those are collective bargaining, requirements. And then, salary, the other large increase that I'll be requesting is incident permanent, which is the recall. And then this is referenced in the report to PRUPOM as well. In fiscal year 22, there were efforts made to improve the callback program, and those trial efforts were memorialized in the current CBA. And and it really is improved the amount of people coming back, and which I think is really critical and important for everybody to understand right now, given particularly that we have the second ambulance and the ability to turn out a second ambulance when there's 2 medical calls going on. So I did increase this, I did request this, I will be requesting a significant increase to the tune of $86,000 to bring it up to $156,000. Because what's happened is, and we'll get into that in the TrueCom report, is I'm gonna go significantly over in that budget line this year with recall. So projecting that out and trying not to go over that again in the future, that would be that request. Vacation coverage, I think this is another large, increase request. And this is based on liability. So these are, again, this is the contractual obligations for what people could potentially take. And it doesn't look like historically we budgeted the appropriate amount for what our actual liability is.
Vacation, right?
Yeah, for vacation. Looking back through the spreadsheets over the years, we don't really have a great system for linking year to year in our budgets, but looking back, it appears that only one year that we went over it, but it's just, again, when you look at budgeting to the actual liability, it doesn't look like that's been happening. So this would be budgeting to the actual liability. Is that what we're gonna spend? I'd say statistically, no. But when you look at sound financial practices and budgeting for that liability, that's where that number comes from. So those numbers can be discussed further by the board if you want. Obviously, all of these are, but that one is just a suggestion from me. Holiday.
So just a quick comment, Chief, on the, as you're looking at that, incident permanent, the increase from a recall point of view. So my perspective on that, that's a good news situation. Right now, we intentionally, obviously, memorialize it in the contract. We have a desire to bring resources back to make them available to the village. And it's working, and that's a good thing that the village has the resources available to them, obviously in the event of an emergency.
Thank you. And then 9%, I'll be requesting a 9% increase in the salary and wages for other full-time, and that is when we have somebody on light duty and their position needs to get backfilled, that comes out of there. Our monthly officer meetings come out of there. And then some of the additional community risk reduction efforts. So the vast majority of community risk reduction is done on duty by our on-duty personnel. Occasionally, I have to bring people in for certain types of meetings and certain types of inspections that need to be arranged in a fashion that they're not going to get interrupted by the call volume. So that comes out of that line. So that is salaries and wages. Moving on to operating expenses and maintenance. Let's see, the repairs, maintenance, buildings, we'll be requesting a 6% increase there from $18,000 to $19,000. And that is due to the increased use of preventative maintenance contracts. And we did not have a lot of PM contracts in place for a lot of the systems of the physical plant of the building, HVAC, sprinkler system, and a few other physical plant systems that should have. Yeah. And, okay. Yeah, I fell off the computer and. All right, sorry for those.
Yes, just pause for a second. Rick Pisano, Commissioner Pisano seems to have lost his connection, so we'll give it a second. Commissioner Zace, to this point, do you have any questions on what we've reviewed or what's been reviewed?
Just, this is kind of a nit, but the highlighted for protective clothing and 911 dispatch, those are highlighted because you don't have the bids yet for those, right?
Yeah, correct. And I just haven't had a chance to take the highlight off of the PPE. The
Yeah.
PPE, I'm not gonna request any changes in that line because it's
Yeah.
better served as a one-time capital project rather than asking for a consistent increase.
Okay.
So, Commissioner Pisano, I see you back on now and unmuted. Wait, is everything working?
Can you hear
now?
me?
Yes, yes, we can now. So,
Excellent.
Welcome back.
right, okay.
You were on PM, I think, Chief.
Yeah, okay, so yes, $1,000 increase to cover the cost of preventative maintenance contracts. Repairs, maintenance vehicles, requesting a 37% increase, going from, so it's a $10,000 increase from 27 to 37,000. That is what we have been spending, this year and last year. And we've been running into a deficit on that line at the expense of other items, and that need to get done. So we can only offset expenses within those 6 maintenance categories. So when I go over in the vehicles, which, now for 2 years in a row, we've gone over, and this is not due to, mismanagement of the budget. This is fixing, equipment that we need to keep on the road and going out the door. As things break, and as well as performing again preventative maintenance, which was also not happening. But now we're doing preventative maintenance, which has a cost. And fixing things on the older apparatus that break. Or hopefully finding them through the PM process before they break at a critical juncture in our operation. So again, requesting a $10,000 increase to keep that in line with what it is that we're spending on apparatus. And let's see, now I'm skipping over the items that have a 0% increase. Then radio equipment, an increase of 36% from $5,150 to $7,000, and that is to fund the increased cost of the Motorola equipment that we use. We are going to be doing a purchase of an additional ruggedized portable radio, and then that is pretty much would consume that full $7,000 purchase. Maintenance and protective clothing is highlighted still in the spreadsheet that you're looking at. That will be 0% request there. And because we're maintaining things that break and so on and so forth, that budget is adequately funded. 0. Going to request to combine the 2 telephone accounts. There was some history there why there's 2, but that's something I'll request. There's no increase in cost, just so everybody's aware. It's more of a housekeeping detail. Let's see, moving down to CMed fees, I'm actually gonna request a reduction in that, 25% reduction in that line. I looked back 3 years and we'd only been spending about 75% of that line, just under 75% of that line in the last 3 years. So I'm gonna reduce that line to bring it more in line to what we're actually spending. Let's see, administrative expenses, reducing that by 7%. Again, we're gonna be moving, so to just bring it into more in line with what's coming out of that budget line, so that will go down 7%. 0. Ambulance supplies, gonna be requesting a 9% increase, which is $4,000. And that is just really inflation. Something that was in administrative expenses for a while, but which I'm reducing that line. And it's more appropriate for it to be coming out of the ambulance expenses. So again, that's a housekeeping issue, just to bring items more accurately reflect where these funds should be coming from. And let's see, 00, and then a $500 increase. That's a 33% increase. So right now we're funded at $1,500 for fire prevention education materials. And that's not just fire prevention education, that's also the community risk reduction materials that we use. And so that's a $500 increase. And we're also, as you may recall earlier from my report, firefighter Gardner has submitted a grant to also get funding so that we can get block boxes for the community and some other high ticket items that are really valuable to have as part of our community risk reduction program. So with that, that is the budget as far as salaries, wages, operations, maintenance, and miscellaneous expenses. And we're still working and fine tuning the capital budget. As you can see, we find things as we're really doing a deep dive and trying to get the best value for the community and the best longevity out of all of our equipment that we have. We're finding some things that maybe weren't happening or weren't or maybe a better way of doing a couple of things. So still working on the capital budget, but we'll hope to have that wrapped up here soon.
Okay.
That ends the draft aspect of the FY25 budget proposal.
Okay, Chief, thank you. Gentlemen, any questions, thoughts, comments?
I have I guess a thought, I don't know if it's or a comment. I do appreciate the mindset of using sort of generally accepted accounting principles and budgeting for your full, the full liability of things, and the worst case scenario, so to speak. And so I do appreciate that, and I also appreciate the desire to sort of catch up on things that hadn't been properly budgeted in the past, and looking to, rolling forward, having that kind of rigor in financial management is very well appreciated. That said, I would like to reserve some time to think about some of these things. I don't think there's much we can necessarily do, but I do have some questions that I'll take up with you, I think maybe offline between now and the next meeting.
Great, we appreciate that, Adam, and if it becomes appropriate for us to do a meeting in the interim between meetings, we can always do that as well.
Okay.
Okay, Commissioner Pisano, did you have anything?
Yes, this brings up a circumstance that I wanted to address in regard to the structure of how the district finances things. The water department has its own basic reserve fund. It's enabled to retain some of the income it generates and use it for both forward planning or for contingency planning. And I think it would do us well if we could work out a way with the finance department to have a rolling fund for things like long-term liabilities, like unused vacation pay is just one example, unused sick pay, where people, firefighters accumulate the right to cash out certain benefits from time to time, and without a reserve fund at ready disposal, we have to pay out of it on our operating budget, or we have to have better access to the district's reserve fund that already exists. I don't know in all the years of a mechanism that allows us to do that easily. And so I would like to explore when we present this budget to Prudential in whatever form this finally evolves, to look for authority to set something like that up, or to have a different level of access, perhaps to the money that we generate from ambulance revenues. But this
Yeah,
highlights, this
I
highlights the
agree.
difficulty of ongoing budgeting when we don't have direct control over some of these things.
It's a great idea. I think it's absolutely something we should probably discuss a little further, and to your point, be prepared to have the conversation when we go to finance, when we go to the Prudential Committee.
I agree.
Yeah, that, an enterprise fund would, through the EMS revenue would be something that would, certainly allow for a lot of those equipment purchases, to happen. Separate from the economic, stabilization, fund, there's the enterprise fund as well, and so there are a variety of options that are used by communities and departments around the area. I believe Mashpee has a enterprise fund for their EMS revenue, and they use that to fund their apparatus purchases.
Rick, do you happen to have any historical knowledge on whether that was ever requested in the past or not, and why it wasn't done in the past, and why the water department has that and the fire department doesn't?
Well, the fire department has it by original legislation, and I'm not sure what the original motivation was, but in the time I've served on the board, it's always been the case, and when I looked into it, it was in their original enabling legislation. We've never had it, and in the past, the transition from a call department to a full-time department has been playing out over the last really 20-some years, and
Right.
we've just never gotten to it. It's always been chasing crises and trying to just cope with ongoing. We're at a stage now where we have the opportunity to be much more forward-looking, and the chief and deputy are doing great work at evolving the capital expenditure budget, and I think this ties into that. But it should also extend to things like accumulated obligations that aren't necessarily going to be tapped in any specific fiscal year. That if we have a way to have an ongoing developing fund reserve, that the district would have full oversight over, but we would be able to not have to try to constantly backstrap in response.
Nope, I agree. It's a great idea.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Rick. Gentlemen, anything else on this aspect of the budget?
No.
Not for me.
Okay, Chief, you have another mid-year budget update for the
Yeah, so,
gentlemen, so let me real quick, gentlemen, do you have a chance to take a look at this document in the folder?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
so this is the mid-year budget update that is gonna, with the approval of the board, we'll go over to the PRUCOM for their February meeting. And the values in this report are based on the expenditure ledger through February 9th, 2024. At that point in time, fiscal year 24 was 61.21% complete. The budget control for salaries was 62.37 expended. The budget control for operating expenses was 49.62 expended. Significant overages in budget lines in incident permanent, other full-time, and repairs/maintenance vehicles. Reimbursable OT also shows an overage. However, those costs are fully recovered and offset. So when you look at the spreadsheet, those eventually zero themselves out, and I do work with Lisa and Finance to ensure that all all of those funds are received, and you may notice that when you get your ledger report now, I started asking for a revenue report as well for the fire department to be included in that. So, yeah, I think maybe we get copied on those as well. So, because up to that point, I wasn't really seeing, what was coming in and have a real clarity on to ensure that everything was, that we were expecting to come in is actually going there. Under incident permanent, and this is gonna be redundant, because we talked a little bit about it in FY 25 prep. But, incident permanent trial measures were taken during FY 22 to incentivize and improve callback. Those measures were successful and were ratified in the current CBA. It is estimated that $156,000 will be charged against this budget line in FY 24, hence my request in 25, if the current trend carries through for the remainder of this fiscal year. The other full-time budget line has been influenced by two significant factors. They are program area management and light duty, and program areas such as community risk reduction sometimes require personnel to perform these functions on overtime during their days off. The department has also had members injured off duty, so for a total of one person at all times during the entire fiscal year to date. So it's two separate individuals, but they were injured off duty and are using their own accrued time for their leave, and hopefully that will, the one individual who is out right now is healing well and communicating well, and hopefully we'll have him back on duty soon. That's a side note. When these personnel are able to perform light duty activities, the backfill is charged to that other FT budget line as opposed to sick coverage when they're just out. So even if they're in on light duty performing tasks and assisting with various projects within their restrictions, their full duty position still has to be backfilled. So that's what's caused the overage in that line this year. Then reimbursable OT, as I mentioned, when reimbursable OT is accounted for, the total percent expended for the salary with budget control changes to 61.42%. So the report shows it as 62.37%, but when you account that the amount for reimbursable has come back in and actually drops to 61.42%, which puts it 0.2% over the percentage through the fiscal year. So not terribly far off. And then there are other budget lines that have been underspent. Fortunately, we haven't had injuries on the job, which comes out of a different line. And there are a couple of other areas that I don't anticipate maxing out or going over what is in those lines. So when everything is said and done, there will be an anticipated deficit, which we'll get to in the summary. But that wraps up the discussion on the salaries and wages portion of the budget control. Moving on to repairs, maintenance, vehicles. The aging fleet of apparatus requires both regular preventative maintenance and unanticipated repairs. It is anticipated that we will be able to offset the total FY 24 overages in the maintenance budget lines. So even though we went over in vehicles, like I mentioned earlier, which we'll try to rectify in future budget years, we may be able to offset those expenses. But again, that would be potentially at the expense of other needed projects. We still haven't been able to replace the mini split downstairs in the gym. When the crews are performing PT, physical training, we've been putting a fan there and cracking the bay door to get a little cool air into there for their fitness. But ultimately, that is going to have to get replaced, and it's just, will we have enough money, or are we going to offset our expense in the repairs and maintenance? Again, it's an aging firehouse, and as we've discussed many times. So, again, we may be able to offset those overages and come in under budget and that's those 6 lines of maintenance, but if we do, it's probably gonna be at the sacrifice of something else. So, and we will request an increase, I will request an increase for repairs, maintenance vehicles FY 25, so that we don't have to continue to put other projects off, because anything, pretty much everything that we do is cheaper today than it is tomorrow. So anything that we put off until next year is only gonna cost more next year, so. And then, so in summary, in the absence of additional injuries or significant emergencies, the budget control for salaries is forecast to be approximately 36,000, so that's an overage of 36,000 FY 24. Again, that's a projection. We don't have the injuries and there's certain other things that could come in under budget, but if every trend stays on the current path, there could be a $36,000 overage in FY 24. Budget control for maintenance lines is forecast to be within budget, but possibly at the expense of other projects. The budget control for operating expense lines is forecast to be within budget and without deficiencies. So bottom line, the budget will come in. When you look at what is allocated for the totality of the organization, we will come in under budget. But because monies is siloed out between salary, wages, maintenance, the 6 lines of maintenance, and then all the operating lines, and then miscellaneous expenses, the set budget segment of salaries and wages is going to be overall budget, most likely under. And with that, that is the mid-year budget update. Any questions, comments, or edits?
Okay, Chief, thank you. We appreciate that. Gentlemen, any questions? Commissioner Pisano, we'll start with you.
I have already reviewed all this and understand it. I think that Chief's report covers it, so I have nothing to add or ask.
Okay, Commissioner Zace.
I feel the same way. It was when you were talking about the some of the line items like injury on duty, for example. Early on in the report, you got to it in the summary. I think making sure we call that out is that's still a potential problem. Might be worth. I mean, I think you do, but flagging that with the kind of detail that you used when you were giving the report would probably be useful.
Okay. So yeah, I can certainly add a little more granularity to where that delta is arrived at, and
Yep.
So I can insert that in the report prior to sending it into PRUCOM. And so really, ultimately, that bottom dollar is not going to change, but I can add a little bit of the additional context of how we arrived at that. I tend to focus more on where the overages are, as opposed to where we have significant savings, and again, as I mentioned before, when you look at the bottom line of what was approved for the organization, we will come in most likely under budget, barring disasters and so on.
Yeah, it's always that barring disaster thing.
We are in the disaster business. So.
Okay. Adam, you good there?
Other than that, sir, yes, I am good, Chairman.
Okay, and I don't have any other questions. Chief and I have had long conversations on this, so I am good. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, there's one other small piece of new business, so to speak. We have a request to move our April 9th meeting to April 10th. I'd ask, since I have you gentlemen here, all you gentlemen here at the same time, I'd ask that you take a look at calendars so we can try to lock it down and take care of it now, if that works on your end.
That works for me. Kevin.
Okay,
Um,
Commissioner Pisano?
Yeah, I'm trying to just pull up my calendar here. You want to move which
Just a
meeting?
Wednesday, the 9th to the 10th. Chief, how are you looking on that?
I'm good.
Deputy? Good. Okay.
Are we looking out in April now?
April, yeah, April. The request just came in today, so there's a little bit of a conflict. It's, nothing serious. But the question is, since I had you all right here, I figured I'd ask the question.
Right now, I think I can do that 9th to the 10th.
Okay, cool. Thank you much. With that being said, we will, I'll respond and take care of that, so thank you for that. Chief, public comment, and excuse me, I apologize, gentlemen. Did either one of you have any additional new business?
No.
I don't.
Okay, thank you. Chief, anything new on your end? Anything else?
Well, I do have that, public comment pulled
Well,
up
that's-
from earlier.
But that's comments. I'm
Yeah,
just saying, any new
okay.
business? Yeah, that's all
No,
right.
sir, no, nothing new.
Deputy, any new business you wanna?
No, sir.
Okay,
I think we're good.
now let's move on to public comments.
So I have that public comment pulled up that I couldn't get at when I was dealing with the technical issues earlier. And I am curious if the Lee that is in the audience this evening is the same Lee. Lee, I can summarize your comment, or would you like to come off mute and share your comments with the, Mr. Chairman?
Sure, please.
I honestly don't remember what I sent you.
Okay, so there was it was about the moving of the meetings, and we had a little back and forth and on where they're posted and everything, but you had made a suggestion that there is a way to send out better notifications on things of that nature, so I've shared that with the commissioners, and I know I won't speak for the commissioners, but I do know there's a strong interest in improving, some of those methods through the website and things of that nature. But with that, I'll defer to the commissioners for their, any thoughts or feedback on.
I guess my comment is we do want to try to improve communications. We'll take a look at how we might be able to do that, whether it's leveraging maybe other organizations or maybe doing some kind of a better indication on our own website. So thank you very much for that. And I'll ask the other commissioners if they had any other thoughts.
Maybe even post,
They're talking, commissioners. are
oh,
talking.
sorry.
No, go ahead, Lee. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Maybe we could post something like at the corner of Putnam Avenue where other things are posted. Just or
This is Commissioner Zace. I think all the things in the email thread that you had with the chief are valid and valuable input. And I too agree with Kevin. I think that we can do have to do more. We should continue to evaluate things that make it easier for people to understand that, let's say, in this case, something has changed, and everything from the sandwich boards, for example. My wife is the president of the Civic Association, so they use the sandwich boards a lot. So a lot of good thoughts were encapsulated in that email exchange. So I don't think necessarily we can solve them all tonight, but I think it was great input. I really do appreciate it.
Commissioner Fasano, any thoughts?
I would hardly endorse looking into some kind of signage that, much like the sandwich boards, but I'm thinking a little bigger, something at like a major intersection like Main and School or Main and Putnam, where
maybe right under the speed
large
limits thing,
volume-
right?
Say again?
Made it right under the speed limit enforcement sign.
Yes, right, but something that because I think most people notice the Civic Association sandwich board at that intersection and look to it for feedback, but I'd like to see something a little bigger and a little more permanent that all the departments could use in addition to electronic means, because electronic means puts the burden on the citizen to go to the websites and hunt things down, or to the town agenda.
Interesting.
Public signage on the little billboard at Freedom Hall, unfortunately, is not easily visible when you drive by. It's, it's small script. It's great for pedestrians, but if I tried to look up in my car, I'd be in a wreck. So something more on the line of large sandwich board, all the departments could use it in a highly visible location. I think would be a good investment for the district as a whole, in addition to the fire department.
Or at the post office.
Well, I mean, you think of the places in the village, the coop, the kettle hoe, the post office, that they're obvious sort of locations, but you're right, Rick. Larger and maybe even somewhat permanent. I don't know. People would complain a lot about some of the permanent signs, like stop signs, they're going up. So I mean, we have to worry about, well, okay, do we want a billboard, so to speak, that is informational? But I think all your comments are spot on. We need to do that.
Thank you for responding to my email and for also bringing it up.
Absolutely. We appreciate you sharing your thoughts, so thank you very much for that. Okay, Chief, do we have any other comments?
Do you want to mute?
No emails, no comments.
Okay. With that being said, do we have any motions?
Move we adjourn.
Second,
All those in favor?
Commissioner
Pisano?
Zais, aye.
Conley, aye. Stana was an aye, I heard. So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Have a fantastic evening.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All right.
folks. Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.